Welcome to Beat Diabetes. The other day I was shopping at Walmart and I thought, I think I'll just snap a picture of what's in my cart and show it to you all and share a few things about how I eat, how Benedictine I eat, I should say. And so that's what we're doing. This wasn't actually all that I bought, but this was probably most of it. I went on to do a little bit more shopping. But let's just talk about what's in the cart. So looking at the cart from the right to the left, we'll just, you notice there's quite a few vegetables, and that's one of the things we do. And one of the reasons we get a lot of vegetables is because of our lunchtime. Benedict and I usually will have either okra soup, okra and spinach soup, or a lot of times we'll have just a salad with some salad dressing. And so you got to have vegetables for either one of those. So looking at the right side of the cart, we have some spinach and some okra, green vegetables. And these are the kind of vegetables that do not spike blood sugar, hardly at all. I'm not going to say they don't have any carbohydrates. They do, just not very many. And I believe they're also healthy and nutritious, so I go for them. I know you got these critics that say vegetables are the devil's tool. They have anti-nutrients, and they have this and they have that. Well, sorry, I'm going to be eating vegetables until I die, along with meat and other things. So spinach and okra, we've talked about Benedicta's okra and spinach soup before, so I won't go into a lot of detail, but I do get a lot of my vegetables that way. And the other day I showed you how I make a fancy salad. I call it fancy. It has a lot of ingredients. It's not just lettuce. So we got the spinach, we got the okra. On the side there you see some bacon. And we eat bacon quite a bit. Bacon and eggs, bacon and scrambled eggs, bacon and fried eggs. So yeah, bacon, we eat it frequently. It went up pretty high in price for a while and then went back down. What else do we have? Well, we have a bag of lettuce, and then if you look over to the side, you have some regular lettuce, a head of lettuce. So yeah, we do, and I know some people say, well, iceberg lettuce is the worst lettuce of all, but we eat it. So I grew up with it. That's how my mama would buy that lettuce, and now here we do as well. Next to the lettuce, above the lettuce, is cauliflower, and cauliflower has a great reputation among the keto folks, and there's a good reason for that. It is very low carb and has a lot of fiber to it. It's just not going to mess up your blood sugar much at all. I will give you one warning about cauliflower. They have so-called cauliflower-based pizza crusts that you can buy in the stores, and they boast about cauliflower. And if you turn them around to the backside and look at the nutrition info, you find out they have more wheat than they do cauliflower. I don't know how they get away with that, but they do. Now, not everyone is that way, but a lot of the cauliflower pizza crusts that I have looked at have a lot of wheat in them, and they have almost as many carbs as a normal pizza crust. So not everything that glitters is gold. Not everything that calls itself cauliflower pizza crust is going to have primarily cauliflower. So either make your own or find one that really does have very few carbs to it. What else? Well, we have a couple of packages of meat, one of ground beef, one of sausage. I will often have sausage in one of two ways. I'll have Benedicta fry it up, and I'll have it with some low-carb pancakes or low-carb waffles or chaffles as a Saturday morning breakfast. Saturday morning is the one morning where I actually eat a real breakfast that you chew. Otherwise, it's bulletproof coffee. But we like to take it easy on Saturday morning. Usually we're not in a hurry, and we enjoy our breakfast, watch the news a little bit, have a Bible study, and just kind of have a leisurely morning. I enjoy Saturday mornings. So we have that. And then sometimes I'll use it in our sandwich maker, and I will take a piece of sausage and I'll have a low-carb piece of bread or a chaffle at the bottom. Then I'll have some sausage and cheese and then a fried egg. And so I make myself a low-carb breakfast sandwich with some of these sausage patties. Then, of course, the hamburger, good old hamburger, I have it often as just a hamburger patty, no bun at all. If I really feel like I want to fill up, I'll have a chaffle as the bottom layer for the hamburger. And then a lot of times I'll want to put on top of the hamburger a tomato. I never use ketchup with hamburgers anymore. When I was a kid, that was the standard thing I put on hamburgers, ketchup. Sometimes it would be ketchup and mustard, but a lot of times most time it was just ketchup. And if you look carefully, wedged in between the okra and that bag of salad, there is a tomato. It's actually in a little plastic package. I think you had 2. You can only see 1. But we do eat tomatoes. Tomatoes are not the perfect low-carb food. They have a few more carbs, but if you eat them in moderation, they're not a big deal. And the same is true with picante sauce. I like picante sauce. A lot of times with a hamburger, I'll make tacos, and I'll make the hamburger into taco meat, mix a little of the taco mix on there, and I'll put some lettuce and some cheese and some picante sauce. Picante sauce, like tomatoes, is not a perfectly low-carb food, but in smaller amounts. Mike doesn't mind it, and if Mike doesn't mind it, I don't mind it. Mike, speaking of the glucose meter. All right, as we move our way toward the other side of the cart, you see a can on the bottom side, and that can is petite diced tomatoes. Benedicta uses these in the soups that she makes, so we buy these frequently. Above that, you have salad dressing. This is ranch, which is my go-to salad dressing. Not all ranches are alike. Some ranches have as much as 8 or 9 grams of carbs per serving, but the one I buy has 1, which is low enough for me. So 1 gram of carbs per serving. Above the dressing and to the side of the cauliflower, you have green peppers. I love green peppers. They are low carb. They have vitamin C, and you can do a lot with them. You can put them on the low carb pizzas that you make, and you can just have them in your salad. A lot of things you can do, or you can just eat them raw. Just cut a half of a green pepper and just eat it by itself. It's good enough to eat. Above that, we have another can of the petite diced tomatoes, and above that, to the far left, we have tomato sauce. Now, I find that this tomato sauce, the kind I buy, I don't know that would be true for all tomato sauces, but I think this is Hunt's tomato sauce. Not sure. I know what it looks like, and I always check the carbs, but it's about the lowest carb tomato sauce in the store. And for a serving size, I forget what it is, but it's 4 grams, but 2 grams are fiber, so 2 net grams of carbs for a serving size. Benedicta puts that in the soup. And as long as you don't put too much in, the soup does not affect my blood sugar much at all. So below that, and on the far side, the far left side, we have that blue bag. You probably can't tell what it is, but it is skinless frozen chicken breasts, and we eat a lot of those. Benedicta puts them in soup. Sometimes we have them as a sandwich with a low-carb piece of bread or a low-carb chaffle underneath it. We have them in a number of different ways. Skinless, boneless chicken breasts, essentially no carbs to that. Now, I will say that this particular shopping cart would not please some keto purists. And again, the title for this Sunday series of videos I've been making since early this year is Here's How I Beat Diabetes. So I'm just being honest. I'm not a keto purist. And I think by definition, by what you'd see in this cart, you would not see something that would be considered totally clean keto. Some might look at that sausage and say, well, Dennis, I'll bet you they add a little bit of sugar to that sausage. And that is right. They do. It's not 0 grams of carbs because they do put a little bit of sugar. But the key word there is little. They put just a small amount. Doesn't affect my blood sugar. Again, what I'm worried about most of all is how will Mike react? How will my glucose meter react to this meal? And as long as I get good glucose readings, I don't worry about if it's got 1 or 2 grams. Now, if it's something like ketchup where it's almost all sugar, then yeah, I wouldn't eat that. But this I will. A keto purist would not like that hamburger. Why not? Well, it's not grass-fed beef. It is just plain old hamburger. That's me. Plain old Dennis eats plain old hamburger. Never in my life have I sought out grass-fed beef. I know it's supposed to be good for you. I just don't worry about it. Whether that's smart or not so smart, I couldn't say, but I'm not nearly as fanatical about the things that I buy as long as they don't raise my blood sugar. I mean, that's my golden rule. That's my law above all the other laws in terms of what I will feed myself, what I will eat. How do they affect my blood sugar? The same is true with the salad dressing. Some would say, Dennis, do you not know? Dennis, do you not know that salad dressing has some soybean oil or some kind of a seed oil base? Yeah, I do know it, but I don't worry about it. I do make my own salad dressing sometimes. Haven't done that lately too much. It's a lot of trouble. It's extra work. It's so convenient. And again, my glucose meter does not seem to mind. I know people say, yeah, but there are other things besides glucose and the blood sugar rise. Yeah, there are. But I've been doing this for 20 plus years. And so far, so good. Again, this is how I do it. So I'm not a keto purist. One thing you will notice, however, is what's not in this cart. There is no rice. There are no potatoes. There's no breakfast cereal. There's no pasta. There's no candy. There's no cakes. There's no fruit pies. There's no moon pies. There's a whole lot of stuff that's not there. And to me, what is not there is really more important than what is there. I think it's good that I'm eating the vegetables and getting some nutrition. But what's not there is even more important because I am not causing my blood sugar to skyrocket with all kinds of excess carbohydrates. Very few carbs. There are some. The tomato sauce is going to have some. All those vegetables will have a few, and so forth. But there's just not much. So the long and the short is, this is how I do it, and it works for me. What do you need to do? Find out what works for you. If your blood sugar is down and you're satisfied with how you eat, whether you eat a lot of vegetables, a few vegetables, no vegetables, whether you do carnivore or low-carb vegetarian, that's up to you. It's not my job. It's not my place to tell you how to eat. It is my job to warn you that a lot of carbs are going to drive blood sugar, and that's a disaster for diabetics. So one more look at the cart. I hate to confess this, but I will anyway. I bought a package of regular old hot dogs. Once again, they would have a little bit of sugar added, which is not good, but it doesn't affect my blood sugar that I can tell. And they're not made of the best quality meats and probably a lot of junk in them. They just don't raise blood sugar, and they're convenient. I don't eat hot dogs a lot, but I do some. So I'm going to be honest. You see, in a way, my name is not Dennis. My name is Joe. I'm the ordinary Joe. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. And I'm not somebody who spends countless hours every day ruminating over diet and blood sugar and health. I'm trying to be healthy, and so far so good. But my life is a lot bigger than my diet. I found out by experience that I don't function well with high carbs. I mean, it affects all of my life. But my life is not diabetes or beating diabetes. My life is serving God and serving Jesus Christ. I mean, that's what I'm all about, and loving my wife and my children. That's what my life is all about. This is kind of a side hustle for me. If you want to call it a hustle, it's not really a hustle, but this is a side thing. Now, in a way, it's not, because it's part of God's calling on my life. So I'm not going to pretend it's not important. It is important. And if you're finding victory and I've been able to help you, I thank God for that. But my life is bigger than this. In case you wondered, I don't sit around the house all day long just thinking about diabetic-related issues. I watch movies with Benedicta. We laugh, we talk, we enjoy each other's company. I do things with my children. There's a lot more to my life than just this. And I encourage it to be so for you too. What kind of a life is that? This is just one example, one simple time at Walmart where I pulled out my phone and took a picture of what was in my cart, again, to show you how I beat diabetes. If you've recently been diagnosed with diabetes and you've just discovered this channel, let me recommend that you go to our Uploads page, which will give you access to every diabetic video we've posted since we began. As you work your way through all our videos, I believe you'll find the help you need. A link to our Uploads page is in the description.